Hello, everyone, and welcome to the EVN Disrupt podcast. My name is Mikayel Khachatryan, and I'm the editor of the creative tech section here at EVN Report. Today, my guest was Mikayel Khachatryan, the CEO and co-founder of Wirestock, a platform that allows you to sell photos, vectors, and videos on the largest marketplaces online. We spoke about the founding story of the company, how they raised their seed round last year, and what they have planned for the future. Welcome, Mikayel.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Mikayel, let's start a little bit with your background. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up here in Yerevan.
In Yerevan. And then where'd you end up going to school?
I went to the school number 114 for my high school and elementary and stuff. And then I got into a French University of Armenia for about freshman, sophomore, and then junior years. And then
high school?
No, for college.
Oh, for college.
Yeah. It's a university in Armenia in Yerevan called French University of Armenia. I majored in business. And then when I was at the end of my third year there, one of my friends basically told me there's a program to go study in the U.S., specifically Utah State University, which it was a place I had no idea about at the time.
Had you been to the U.S. before?
No.
Yeah.
And so for some reason I knew I just had to apply and I had to go be part of it. So I applied and got accepted, and I left my quit the school here and moved to the U.S. when I was 19.
So you transferred, or?
It was more like starting over everything, yeah. So I went there and started, a bachelor's program almost from scratch.
What were you studying?
It was business. Yeah, it was business for bachelor's. Then I did applied economics, statistics for master's.
Again at Utah State?
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd you like Utah?
I've been recently telling this story to a lot of people. It's it was a big, super massive transition going from Armenia 2007 is when I moved. It was a little bit of a kind of a gloomy, dark, I think, period for Armenia.
Yeah.
And moving from there to a very bright, happy, happiest state in the U.S. probably.
Yeah.
And super cheerful, and it was completely different culture.
Yeah.
And so it was a big change and hard to adapt to.
Yeah.
But it took some time, but I really appreciated it after some time.
Yeah. How different was the campus life from the French University of Armenia to Utah State?
Utah State is a very interesting place. It's a really cool campus, university. It's got a really nice campus with a lot of student places and facilities and amenities. So you basically live in a campus and spend your whole day in the campus.
Right.
Whereas
it's like a little town.
Yeah, it's a little town within a town,
Right.
and the whole town is all about the university. Everyone's wearing the university gear and the mascot and whatnot. You go to the football game, the basketball game. You know, so it's all about the Aggies is
The mascot.
the mascot, yeah. And whereas the French university here, or pretty much any other university here, is just a school in a city.
Yeah.
There you just go inside, take some classes, and leave.
Yeah.
It's got that community feel too, but to much less degree than what I had there. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to school for a year in the States too. I'm from Canada originally. And that was the biggest difference from Canadian campus life to US campus life, was one that almost everybody lives on campus. It's really a very close-knit community. That's
Community
something
feel,
I really loved. And it's actually, I think it was one of the most important pieces of my educational experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, we'll get into this a little bit later, but one of the reasons why I got so into startups was because of that close-knit campus community. There were so many initiatives and communities on campus that were, whether it was pitch competitions or startups, you meet some of your friends that, become your lifelong friends, and then you end up being co-founders. And I think that's such an important part that we sort of need to work on building in Armenia.
Absolutely, yeah.
So were you involved in any startup activity in college?
Not so much. I did try a couple of things. We had this idea to start like a Groupon type of thing, because at the university we had people just handing out these coupons for like free pizza or buy one get one free pizzas and stuff.
Yeah.
But we never started it. Then I had another idea that we built a prototype for. It was for like if you took a class already and someone else is taking that class, you can like mentor them or help them. Yeah. Like a kind of a platform. And we built a prototype but never got it off the ground.
You never launched it?
No. And then, yeah, that was it. I really didn't get into building stuff until I moved back to Armenia.
Were you coding then, or were you strictly on the business side?
No, it's completely just more like products and design and things like that.
And then when you ended up graduating, did you work for a few years in the US, or did you come back to Armenia?
I worked for a year at Fidelity. It's like a finance, kind of a wealth management, a trading service. Financial services company. So I worked there for a year. We learned a lot about the stock market, trading, and things like portfolio management, mutual funds, and things like that. And then I moved back after that.
You moved back after a year of working.
Yeah.
What were you doing in Armenia before you started Wirestock?
So I moved back. My background at the time was more into like finance and portfolio management and things like that. Essentially, I tried to kind of continue a career in finance in Armenia. But what I realized was that the things I learned over there, not applicable.
Yeah, the market is just different.
That much, and the market is different. Market is smaller. At the time, there was pretty much no public companies, or maybe one or two. And I think still there is just a few companies that have gone public. And so there's not an active kind of stock market here. So I was a bit upset and like looking around for other opportunities. And at the time I had this friend who was a software developer and was really into building games, mobile games. This was like 2013. I would just see him on the street, random, like Yerevan, kind of run into people type of things. I would just run into him, every now and then, and he would just keep like convincing me to help him with his startup. And he was building, like he had this really interesting mobile game idea that he was really enthusiastic about building. And so he just kept asking me to help him with product development, financial stuff, fundraising, even like setting up a company in the US, like legal stuff. I kept refusing it. I'm like, I don't know anything about software. Like I've never built anything myself. I don't know how I can help you. It was basically what I was telling him. And then he finally convinced me to meet with his investor, who was like his angel investor. We just kind of like at the moment, I was like, why not give it a try? So I kind of committed to helping him run or build this company. And so that's how I started into tech. Yeah. We were just building this mobile game. This was 2013, and we had nothing. We had no idea about.
Let me ask you one more thing. Why did you decide to move back to Armenia?
So honestly, I never intended to stay or move permanently to America. Yeah. Like since day one or since I left, I was like, I'm going there for school. And then maybe a couple of years of like working somewhere to get experience, etc. Although really, there were a lot of problems here back then, but I still had a lot of friends and I enjoyed my life here a lot and growing up. So I always wanted to come back. Yeah, so I started working. There was a moment I had to like figure out a way to, get a visa or get some like permanent, like a green card or something. And I was like, I'm not going to commit to anything long term. I wanted to come back, so I just moved back,
So let's get back to the startup the gaming startup with your friend. When you joined that early, were you joining as a founder, or were you just a part of the early team? Or?
It was like more of an advisor first, and then a co-founder, one of the main co-founders at the end, because I really got into the project. Yeah.
What was it called?
It was called Wizard Race.
Wizard Race.
Yeah.
How far did you guys take it?
We built it. It was a 3D game on like iPhones, like an iOS, and it was basically wizards racing against each other. Okay. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Is it still up?
It's like you get on a broom and like you fly
Yeah.
and race against each other. And we had different characters with
Yeah.
different styles. I don't know if it's still, I don't think so, but I can show you some videos. So we built it, we launched it and had like, I don't know, 2,000 downloads. And then we realized the game had so many problems.
Yeah.
Like the game design was awful. We really nailed the design, like the 3D characters and the levels, the worlds. They're really beautiful.
Yeah.
The CEO was really like super focused on like beautiful world design and level design. But the game design, which is like the mechanism that keeps you in the game and keeps you want to keep playing, was just bad. So people would play, would be like, oh, this is a cool game, but they would not keep playing. And then we ran out of money.
You guys had funding?
Yeah, so we had funding from this angel investor from Russia, who I'm still really close friends with. He really believed the idea, he invested, but unfortunately it didn't work out.
Yeah.
For me, it was my first experience in the space, how to do these things. So.
Yeah. Before you ended up doing Wirestock, did you get more startup experience?
Yeah, I had Wirestock is the first company where like I basically was kind of the CEO.
Yeah.
Kind of taking responsibility, like I was the first person who left my job and committed full time, and then started looking for co-founders. And I had a co-founder at the time, and then others joined as well. Yeah, it was first company where I was like the main person responsible from the very beginning. But before Wirestock, I was part of 2 or 3 other startups. So after the Wizard race, my friend and co-founder, who is now a co-founder of Wirestock as well, he and his friend started a dating app in Dubai. I also joined as a co-founder, but like a third co-founder.
Yeah.
I was helping them with like fundraising and marketing and things like that. It was an interesting company. It was like Tinder. It's basically, they built Tinder, but when you match with someone, you have like 24 hours to sort of figure out what you want to do. And then after 24 hours, the chat would expire. And the only thing you could do at that point, you could invite them out. And we would suggest like restaurants and bars that we pulled from like Foursquare or other play or Yelp and stuff. That was the thing. And that went further, kind of that was more successful, pretty successful actually. We had like, at some point we were like #1 dating app in Dubai.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was really popular, but we made some mistakes that, again, was a really good learning thing.
Did the company exit or?
No, we just basically shut it down at some point, yeah.
The plan was always to do a startup, always to be a founder.
Yeah, I always wanted to start things, realizing that I want to build like sort of tech, like software products came to me after this game. After I realized the kind of scale you can reach, anywhere you are in the world when you're building software products is really mind-blowing. So
I don't think there's any other industry that you could do it in.
Not as fast and not to the same size and scale.
What would you say the biggest thing you took away from these startups that failed was?
The first one is I realized, you have to have a team that can execute on the core idea or business, because we outsourced a lot of the product development with this game to
you didn't have a
Ukraine. No
co-founder.
Yeah, I mean the CEO was a coder, but not a game developer.
Right.
So we outsourced a lot of the game development, and when we ran out of money, we couldn't build anything. At that point. So that was a huge mistake. The second one, I learned how you have to iterate faster, because we had this this core idea that we were so religiously believing that you match 24 hours, the chat is gone, and you have to invite them to these restaurants, and no one was inviting them, and we were still pushing the same story. So we realized that we could have done so many other things and still make it.
You have to be far more mobile in a startup. Like,
Yeah,
you have to recognize
forget
when it's not
about your
working.
original idea, you know.
You can't be religious about it.
right.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let's get to Wirestock. How did you guys decide to do this startup, and how did you go about building your team of co-founders?
Yeah, after that first project company, I wanted to keep building something big, something that millions can use and enjoy. And so I was working at Pixar at the time. This was 2018. Like, I worked there for 2 years, and honestly, this is how it happened. I was watching YouTube, just random stuff, just not even for work, just relaxing. This video came up of Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum.
Yeah.
And he was talking. He was on the TechCrunch event. What is it called? Disrupt. Yeah. So he was on Disrupt, and he was being like interviewed on stage, and he was talking about Ethereum and like kind of the decentralized applications and organizations and whatever the ideas were back then. And so I got really, really inspired.
Yeah.
I was walking, running around my apartment, like thinking about ideas and how big this can be. And I called my co-founder. He's the co-founder at Wirestock now. And I was like, hey, this can be really huge.
Yeah.
And you can build so many different applications on Ethereum, etc. And so he got enthusiastic too. And he got excited about this too. And we were like, okay, what kind of decentralized application can we build, right? So the idea is like you have this Ethereum blockchain and you can build smart contracts. You can have different kinds of transactions happening that can be, recorded on blockchain, etc. For this dating app, we were buying a lot of stock photos, and we really liked the space, like how easy it is to buy photos and stuff. So he said, how about we build a platform where people can buy and sell photos and videos, etc., and it can be on blockchain. So like the copyright transactions or licensing transactions are all on blockchain. It would be cool, kind of more transparent, secure in a way, etc. And I loved it. So we told our other co-founders who had more technical background and could help us build and execute on this, and we got all super excited. Yeah. And now here we were, about to build this blockchain-based stock photo platform. That's how we all came together. So it was me, my non-technical co-founder, who was the head of product, CPO at Wirestock, and then 2 other co-founders.
Did you guys all know each other?
Yeah. We almost all knew each other from different kind of places, from different circles. And so, but we never built anything together. Yeah. But we knew it would work. So
how did you know that you would work well together?
I think we had a lot of like things in common in terms of like values and lifestyle. With Ash, who was the CPO, I was friends since like high school. And then Hov, we traveled in the US together. And then Vlad, I've known him for a while, from different, we had like friends, like mutual friends, and we just clicked, right? So we just clicked, and we knew, we would go a long way, and we would enjoy working together, most importantly, and we could be friends too. Yeah. And so, so we really just got excited about working together. And then maybe a year, so we started going to this blockchain events in Dubai and like in other places.
This is 2018.
This is 2018. Yeah, it was like after the first kind of big hype in altcoins and like Ethereum, and then it like plummeted into 2018. And we started going to these events, meeting these like people that were kind of shady. Yeah, they were like kind of Ponzi schemes, Ponzi scheme situations. At the time, we were also talking to photographers, content creators, and we're like, oh, we have this amazing idea. It's going to change your life. We're going to put all your content on blockchain. Whenever someone buys any of your photos, it's going to be written on blockchain. See how cool it is.
This is kind of like NFTs before NFTs became.
It was similar. Yeah, it was similar to NFTs.
But multiple licenses.
We were more thinking about like non-NFTs. So fungible token.
Right,
Like you would transfer your photo to somebody and they would pay you in like wire coins. But the idea of registering a piece of content on blockchain, it was still there.
Yeah.
So it was really similar to what this new hype is all about, with the NFTs. But what we found out was like at the time, creators didn't really care about all these things.
Coin space and
selling like having their content written on, registered on blockchain or trading in coins, these things like that were okay, futuristic, maybe cool if you're like a geek, but not really that useful.
They want to get paid for their work, and
and
they're comfortable with USD.
Right? Yeah, and we were in these communities with like old school photographers, like old school stock photographers, and what they were telling us is it was pretty consistent among most of them was like it's so hard to sell on so many different platforms and run accounts on so many platforms. Like there's just too many. And so that's when like I get really enthusiastic about things, and it's hard for me to change my mind. But my other co-founders were like, I don't know if this idea is working out. It seems like nobody's buying into it. No one is really
did you guys
interested.
Get to the point where you actually did an ICO?
We didn't even build the product.
Yeah.
We had this website, like a landing page, and then it was right before we were about to start building it, we realized it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's not going to be, no one's going to use it essentially. And so at the time, so we were like, okay, now we've come together. We like working with each other, but the idea doesn't seem it's going to work out. And we started like thinking about, okay, what else can we build for the same crowd, for the same segment of creators or whatnot. So and then we came up with this new idea of Wirestock, which was basically giving creators one-door access to multiple marketplaces from a single place, kind of like an aggregator play in this space. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, that makes a lot of sense, right?
So you guys pivoted to this idea that you're working on now. Walk us through exactly what you guys do and what the process is for a photographer to start distributing their work through your platform.
The world, essentially, the space without Wirestock is the following. You are a creator. You've created, I don't know, you've taken 1,000 photos over a few years, and you want to sell, you want to monetize, you want to sell and make money with your content. You have to register and open accounts on multiple marketplaces, multiple platforms.
Right, like Shutterstock,
Adobe, Pond5, the Deposit Photos, Canva. Yeah. There's potentially 10, 20 different marketplaces, if not more.
And those are just the main ones.
Yeah, and then if you want to sell prints, then there is another set of marketplaces that you have to go register. And then you have to upload your content on every single marketplace, make sure you meet the requirements of every single marketplace, then add payment methods on every single marketplace and get your money out. Yeah. A lot of repetitive, but a bit different work for every single marketplace that you have to do, right? So instead of that, what we do is we allow creators like to upload their content, like have a single account at a single website or platform, and manage their content in a single platform.
You guys are kind of like an agency, but a very big one. Yeah.
We connect creators and marketplaces.
Right.
Kind of our core business. That was the first big pivot, going from a blockchain startup to an aggregator kind of tool. And then the second kind of pivot or iteration was I started reaching out to photographers as soon as we had that first product, that was basically just allowing to distribute content on multiple marketplaces from a single. That was it. That was the whole product. I started reaching out to photographers and asking them to upload their content. And they would start uploading their content, and then in the stock world or any basically content monetization environment, you have to add like keywords to your images. So keywords and captions. Keywords help your content get discovered. Captions or descriptions help it look more like professional or sellable.
Yeah.
And so that was the second pain that we discovered, was that creators really hate, especially modern day creators who are used to like super easy interfaces and experiences like Instagram and TikTok and whatnot. We're super like non-enthusiastic about adding keywords. And they would just upload a bunch of photos and leave.
Yeah.
And then I would reach out and be like, oh, you forgot the keywords. And they're like, oh, no, I got something else to do. Sorry.
Right.
So what we ended up doing, just basically out of like despair and just not knowing what else to do, is basically adding the keywords ourselves. So we would just start, okay, here we've got like 100 photos, super sellable and monetizable, but we don't have keywords for them. So let's write the keywords ourselves. And so we started doing that. And then as soon as we started doing that, we realized, okay, now they're coming back and they love seeing their photos listed on these marketplaces. And that was the second piece, that we added, is add the keywords ourselves. Yeah. And so now on that initial layer of aggregation, we added the sort of automatic keywording and captioning piece. So now you had two kind of pain points that were solved by a single product. Yeah.
You said automatic. Are you doing that using machine learning, or do you have teams that work on it?
In the beginning, it was all like manual, and then we added a few sort of layers of like automation, and then like now it's sort of like a combination of manual and ML based keywording, and we use both like a computer vision model that would like sort of understand the context and detect objects and suggest keywords based on just the photo itself. And then we have a model that you write like a few keywords, and it would basically generate more keywords. So a text to text model and a photo or image to text model.
So if I'm a photographer, I can put in a few keywords. The Wirestock will generate more for me, and then I can approve them and delete some if I think they're not matching.
Yeah, what we are aiming, the type of experience we want to provide, is you basically upload your content much like you would upload to Instagram, and then whatever else needs to be done will be done by us.
Yeah.
So curating or reviewing, and then keywording, adding metadata, asking you to provide additional things.
Yeah.
If there is a need. For example, if there's a person in your photo and you want to license it commercially, you have to provide like model releases and things like that. So
yeah. And then do I, as a photographer, pay upfront for the service, or is it a commission-based thing?
It's all commission now. We might add like some sort of a premium plan we're working on that will, give like additional perks type of thing. But as of right now, it's all free, only commission-based.
How did you guys go about getting your early users? How'd you find them?
The first product we built, the first version of Wirestock, it was that idea, that service I was telling you about. It just pure aggregation, upload in one place, submit to many. And then, so when we first built it, our just natural next move was to reach out to people who were already selling photos on these marketplaces, like creators on Shutterstock or Adobe, etc., asking them if they would want to switch or start selling through us because we're easier, faster, etc. And so when I started reaching out, or we started reaching out, the feedback was, we don't want to pay you 15% commission, because we have already figured out ways to do it. And
these were people who were really good at it already.
They were already really good at it. Someone even told me that he had hired his younger brother to do these things, and he was paying him like a
Pennies.
commission or
Right.
whatever from sales.
Yeah.
And so they were really hesitant to move their images from their personal account to like a master account like
Yeah.
Wirestock, like an aggregator account, and also pay us commission.
Yeah.
So it was, again, like a moment of kind of realization and a little bit of like panicking, thinking, okay, we built something for these people, but they don't need it apparently. So we decided to kind of switch and go after people who weren't selling on these marketplaces. At the time, just kind of instinctively, but looking back kind of retrospectively, it was an interesting move. So we started going after these people who either tried selling and failed, or haven't even tried or haven't even heard of stock photo selling or monetization. That's where we had a really strong like product market fit is with this group. So we started reaching out, and the responses we were getting were
How were you reaching out? Where were you finding these people?
It was on like more of like new gen platforms. So, like where the new generation of creators was.
It was like forums online?
It was like Instagram and forums and personal portfolios, Unsplashes, Pexels, kind of newer platforms where the new generation of creators was promoting themselves or uploading their content. Yeah. And so that's where we had a much stronger sort of like product market fit. And the responses we had crazy. So it was like messaging and emailing. We had like 15% conversion rate on like cold outreach.
So there's really a demand for this.
It was super clear there was demand, and it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So like you already have content that you're uploading, why not make some extra money without making any extra effort?
Yeah. How long did it take you to get your first 1,000 users?
Probably 2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months since starting this iteration.
This iteration,
yeah. And then how did you go about scaling it from there? Because what are your numbers like today? How many users?
We just reached 50,000 creators last week.
Congratulations.
Thanks. That was a kind of a challenge because we were just relying on one kind of channel for growth, and it was like this outreach, direct messaging and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't scalable enough.
The mailing.
Right. So then we started, the challenge was, all right, what other channels are there for outreach? What are the other ways that we can reach people that were cost effective and would make sense, in terms of the business model and stuff. In a few months, we started finding other ways of acquiring and finding creators.
Can you talk about what those other ways were?
Maybe just broadly, like we have, several things that are working for us, but mainly it's like recommendations.
Referrals.
So referrals, like creators recommending Wirestock to other creators.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's the best marketing you can do.
That is the best way, for us at least.
Recently, you guys raised a $2.3 million seed round. Is that right? What are your plans for expansion after this?
The expansion we intend to do is essentially it has to do with like scaling our platform. So we have what we focus on is the number of creators that use Wirestock and upload their content and sell their content through Wirestock. So we also look at the size of our library, the size of the and volume of the content that we're distributing, and then the number of channels that we are integrated with. Yeah. So those are the main things that we focus on. So we want to basically, 10x increase all these metrics, tenfold in the next, a few months.
Wow, next few months. That's ambitious.
Well, next few quarters maybe.
So you guys were one of these startups that raised over the last 18 months. Been this flood of Armenian startups raising large amounts of capital.
Absolutely.
I met with your co-founder Vlad last week, and he was really excited about what you guys are doing. He's very high energy.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
he told me that when you guys were raising, you didn't have a single in-person, or most of your meetings with potential investors were over Zoom or some sort of other remote way. How has that culture changed since COVID for raising money, capital?
I remember reaching out to funds in the US like back in 2014, 15, 16, and they would always just kind of consistently, ask for like an in-person meeting before.
Like grab a coffee.
Not even a meeting yet, just like being close.
Yeah.
Having presence in the area, the Bay Area or whatever the region was, let alone like, of course, meeting in person was, I think, what people were expecting, unless you were really like killing it like crazy, like on some sort of a massive wave of popularity or whatnot, right? And of course, introductions and everything is still the case, but it seems like these Zoom meetings are becoming, or online meetings are becoming a standard way of even like starting and closing deals.
Yeah.
And there's less of a need to meet in person, although I have been asked to like meet in person, and I have met in person as we were raising this round. And I think it always helps, to go out, get grab some coffee, get a drink or whatnot, and build this kind of relationship with maybe advisors or angels or VCs, but less of a requirement, less of an absolute type of thing you have to do
today than it was 2 years ago.
Than it was like before COVID, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And you have a pretty big team here in Armenia now. It's your primary offices are in Armenia, but do you guys also have a presence in California?
We have just a few people that part of our team that are in California and Colorado, and primarily like ML and sales, like BD,
business development stuff.
Areas.
In California.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you split your time between Armenia and California?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're there for some parts of the year. And
a few months, mostly here, but then maybe like 20%, 25% there.
What's it like managing a global team like that? Is it easy or?
It can be hard. What's really hard is if you have a team in one location that's working in-house from an office, and then you have other people in other parts of the world that are remote.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to kind of maintain that same level of energy and kind of team energy when certain people are seeing each other and like clicking like this, every day, and then the others are only remote.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of a challenge, to be honest with you. But then if you have people in different teams that are not maybe interacting with each other as much, I think that can be okay.
So is it kind of like it's better to have all remote than some remote and some
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Because those people aren't left out of that office culture.
Exactly, yeah. But then I think if you have, let's say, a sales team that's all remote, but I don't know, the marketing team is all in-house, that I think that can be fine. That can work out okay.
Right.
But if part of the engineering team is remote and then part of it is in-house, then the meetings and this energy might not be as
I tend to agree.
As good.
Yeah. How big is your team in Armenia now?
We are about 30 people.
How much of that is a technical team?
Quarter of that is technical.
And then you guys have a lot of keyword specialists and content writers.
That's a separate team outside of this group, that we have like a big remote content team.
Not in California.
No, it's
like around the world.
Around the world, yes.
Yeah. Let's get to our final question. What's the grand vision for Wirestock? Where do you see this in 5 to 10 years?
We see clearly that there are dozens of millions of creators out there who are creating super interesting and commercially interesting content that has or can have monetary value, we also see that big majority of them are not aware of that. The potential or the ability for their content to generate money for them.
Yeah.
And not just money, but also sort of like positive or get some recognition or can be appreciated by others, right? So what we are building is essentially, what we want to do is reach all of these people and have them use Wirestock and be able to sell and promote themselves and get appreciated, recognized through our platform. So and then while we're doing that, obviously adding as many different monetization channels for them as possible so that a piece of content can have its maximum potential of generating income, whether it's through stock photos or prints or NFTs or whatever other channel there is.
You mentioned NFTs. That early idea that you guys had to do this on the blockchain, do you still see a path for that?
Yeah, what we have done since this very early pivot is listen to our customers.
Yeah.
So we don't build anything unless or until we get, for the most part, we get a certain signal from our creators. So we have been getting some signals about NFTs and other crypto sort of features, but it's currently not as much for us as, to be able to kind of prioritize it and move something else away to focus on this. But it's definitely we keep a close eye on this.
Yeah. Okay, Mikayel, thank you so much for joining us today. We wish you luck with that, and I hope you'll join us again sometime in the future as the company continues to grow.
Pleasure.
Thank you.